Hello, SOBs. It's your boy J Logs here with the Stream of Blood, and tonight's episode of Blood and Blades, our ongoing Blades in the Dark shared universe, and we share it with all types and kinds of different excellent live streams, role-playing folks all over the internet are coming together with us to create a living Duskfall. We're playing Blades in the Dark, the excellent game by John Harper and Evil Hat that takes place in the fantasy/steampunk city of Duskfall, in a world where the sun was snuffed out thousands of years ago by a great cataclysm, and the gates of the dead were opened, and yet life went on. People persevered. They built industrial cities. They put away magic, and they picked up their tools, and they learned science. And now the city of Duskfall, the setting of Blades in the Dark, is a great sooty, smoky, slovenly metropolis surrounded by lightning barriers to keep out the armies of ghosts that exist out in the Deathlands. We have had such a great time with this series. I have had such a great time with this game, which when I first played it felt very counterintuitive to me because I'm an old man with role-playing games, and this game is very new. It has a new approach to how games should work. Sometimes it's a little bit backwards if you're used to old role-playing games, old Dungeons and Dragons, Call of Cthulhu, and things like that. But it is so excellent. It's the kind of game that puts everything you need to know right on the character sheet. The rules are simple, but the way you use them is very complex. I'm excited for you to join us tonight as we dive into the next installment of the saga of one of our criminal crews here in Duskfall. In Blades in the Dark, you play members of a crew of criminals who are trying to eke out a living underhandedly in this teeming metropolis of vice and sin night to night. And the crew that we have for you tonight, first of all, you should watch all of them on Better Than Heroes. That's every Monday. I believe it's at 7 Central. They'll correct me in a second if I'm wrong. Better Than Heroes. That is their ongoing Spelljammer Dungeons & Dragons 5e campaign where they travel between the worlds, righting wrongs, putting things back to the way they should be to make the cosmos in balance. And they do that with humor and comedy and great performance chops. They have created a crew called the Kinohora. You see, there are many different factions in Duskfall, and one of those factions is a national identity, the Skovland identity. Skovland was a place that was conquered by the empire that rules the city of Duskfall, the Akarosi Empire, and the people of Skovland have become immigrants to Duskfall. They live in this city as factory workers, as laborers, sometimes as servants, and they are in some ways second-class citizens. But the Kinohora, the crew that you're going to watch tonight, they are trying to tip the scales in favor of the Skovlanders. They are trying to strike back for their people. It's a really cool motivation. It's a really kind of flavorful sort of direction to take a crew, because their motivation isn't just vice, it's sort of revenge, and that is juicy as fuck. So let me bring in your players. I'm so happy to have them here. First of all, this guy, I'm so glad that we met and started playing role-playing games over the pandemic, over the quarantine that has gripped us all for the last 10 months. So many good things have come out of this very bad thing. And one is that I met this guy who's a role player. He's a comedian. He's an artist. You should check out his art. And he's playing a weird character. He's playing poor Violet, a whisper with a sister who is dead, but still very much in her life. Please welcome my buddy Jordan Dahl, everybody.
Hello. I'm so pumped. Just listening to you talk about the game we're about to play, I was like, I hope I get to play that someday. Oh, we're doing it right now.
Yeah. That's like the Rory Scovel bit where he's like, if you get really high when you go to a movie and then the movie starts and you go, oh, I wanted to see this.
That's not what's going on here.
Well, I mean, hey, no judgment on my part. Whatever mindset you like to be in to enter a steampunk fantasy world.
Sure.
Are you a steampunk fan in general, or is
Boy.
it just Blades in the Dark time that you spend in a universe like that?
I got to tell you, I'm walking that razor's edge. I'm a step away from being super into steampunk at any given point.
Right.
I've never fully taken the plunge. I definitely did like a time traveler costume for Halloween one year, which was all very bespoke and sprockets and gears and goggles. And I was like, I've done a good job. And I remember specifically walking home that night and seeing just a drunk dude with no shirt on, like screaming about the Broncos. And I was like, he's a better time traveler than I will ever be.
Right.
That is a much more.
He's really time traveling.
Yeah, exactly. Much more convincing.
He's jumping into the future with alcohol.
Yeah.
Guys.
Springboard.
Whatever mental state you're in, we're so happy to have you. I'm going to bring in the next player. This guy, what a fantastic player. He has sort of spearheaded this sort of the concept behind our crew. And his character is sort of the leader, but his character is out tonight because in Blades in the Dark, sometimes you can overindulge in your vice. And his character, Elazar, his character's vice is obligation. And so he has been studying Eldritch tomes, and he has fallen in to sort of a rabbit hole of like studying and becoming obsessed with his studies of ancient Scovlan lore. And so he will be playing a different character tonight. And I can't wait to introduce that character to you, but I think we should do it during the game. In the meantime, let's welcome this man. He's the best. Please welcome Aaron Urist, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Champion.
I see you're wearing your champion t-shirt.
I'm a champion.
Because you are one.
Thank you. Thank you so much, both of you.
You're very welcome, sir. Maybe you'd like to kind of tell people who you think who you're planning on playing tonight, since your character, according to the rules, had to take a breather because they overindulged their vice. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it now?
Yeah. I actually, do you want to save it as a surprise? It might be more fun.
Sure.
Let's save it as a surprise. How are you? Are you a steampunk guy at all? You own any goggles?
I don't own any goggles. I'm not into like any specific steampunk fandom, but I think it's cool. I think airships and stuff are rad AF.
Honestly, I've been waiting for the steampunk property of my dreams to sweep me off of my feet for a long time, and it might just be Blades in the Dark.
It for sure is.
I definitely love Blades in the Dark, so
yeah.
Oh, Dishonored. Remember that video game? That was really good too.
Dishonored.
Very similar to Blades in the Dark.
Very much. And I was a huge fan of that franchise.
I personally think that the video game copied the idea from this game that didn't exist yet.
That makes sense.
It happens all the time.
Time travel, guys.
Yeah, watch for the guy with his shirt off screaming about the Broncos. He's from the future.
Finally, I'm going to bring in our third player. First, I want to say Rachel Weeks, whom we love and adore, and who is a core part of this crew as the Hound, Bina Jaffe, could not be with us tonight. She is not going away forever. She will be back soon. And in fact, at some point, we'll probably play with all of these crew members. Crews do not have to be just 3 people. But tonight, luckily, Better Than Heroes, they roll deep, and they have one of our favorite role players on their roster, and we're able to bring him in to kind of fill in for Rachel. And he's created a great character that I also kind of want to introduce to you during the actual game. But in the meantime, let's just all say hi to Andrew Orvedahl, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
What's up, buddy?
Not much. I'm excited to play. I haven't played this game in quite a while, so it's...
Well, don't fuck it up or get it wrong.
A lot of people don't know that about this game. It's very unforgiving. If you get it wrong, you have failed the attempt. You don't even get to roll. You just failed.
It is a score, so things can go wrong. In our last game with the glass cannon guys, a couple things went wrong. The spirit wardens tracked them down, which is
oh no,
the game universe that can be
Did we
that kind of situation?
Did we kill someone? We didn't. We haven't killed anyone, right?
Not kill anyone.
Okay.
No, you have not killed anybody. And
that'll be tonight.
Let's talk about the Kinohora a little bit before we introduce the new characters. And we'll talk about tonight as a score. So instead of downtime, instead of following your various machinations and plots, you guys will be attempting to pull off a job that is going to give you a new asset. So I just want to talk about the Kinohora for a second. If you're tuning in for the first time, the Kinohora, which means without the evil eye, are a crew of shadows with a subtle reputation, meaning that they don't really like to sign their work. They kind of like to get in and get out without people knowing they were ever there. Their hideout is in the back of a bookshop in Charhollow. Charhollow is traditionally the Scovland quarter of the city that has a lot of factories where Scovland laborers work. And that place, their hideout is Drax Books, owned by Elazar Drakkar, Aaron's usual character, the character he's played twice so far. Elazar, at least, is a member of the Gehinnom faith. And the Scovland members of the Kinohora seek to steal back the artifacts and objets d'art that the Akarosi Empire has stolen from the Scovland people. When the Akarosi conquered Scovland, they tore apart their temples, they tore apart families, they destroyed the countryside, and they took all of the beautiful artwork and magical artifacts that the Scovlanders had, and they brought them back to Akaros. Many of them are here in Duskfall, in the clutches of Akarosi nobles and families who were involved in that war. And so the Kinohora seeks to liberate those items. They own a golem. That's something that a curveball Aaron threw at me at the end of the first session. There is a golem in Drax Books. And you should know that one member of them is not Scovland. One member of them is an Akarosi, and that is Poor Violet, played by Jordan, who I mentioned. Yes, Poor Violet. Poor Violet, who... Poor Violet. Poor Violet sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, he sort of resents the Akarosi nobility, right?
She has, been shown nothing but... kind of scorn for her gifts and her sort of bookish, unremarkable presenting way. And whereas they turned her out, she found kind of a home within the Kinohora here, and has started to learn about the kind of, what was done and what happened, and has wants to help where she can. So she's kind of there. She's
very young as well.
She's very young.
So in the time-honored tradition of how young people, will sometimes kind of find an identity within a culture that has been oppressed, perhaps our friend who comes from, a wealthy Akarosi family, Poor Violet, found a home among these Scovlander immigrants. So let's talk about tonight's score. You guys chose an interesting score to tackle for this session. I'm going to explain it right now. There is a network of Scovland refugees working as maids, valets, cooks, butlers, and carriage drivers. And they're working for the wealthy citizens of Duskfall. They trade information. They gossip about their masters. And if you can impress them, prove that you are their champion, they will work for the Kinohora. And specifically, you will have taken control of the asset on your crew map that says information network. You will basically have eyes and ears in the homes of countless Akarosi nobility here in Duskfall. That is a huge asset to gain. You have chosen a target that will help you gain that asset. The Professor Victor Ludwin, one of the 9 living heirs to the Ludwin shipping fortune. This man treats his Scovland servants horribly, torturing them methodically with a system of demerits based on their performance. He grades his employees as he grades his students, harshly. His arrogance can no longer be borne by the proud sons and daughters of Scovland. You must make this man pay for his crimes. If you can make him change his ways publicly, without hurting the livelihood of the workers that he supports, you will have earned the trust of this Skovlander information network. And so in a moment, we are going to decide your approach to this job. But first, we're going to meet the new member of the crew. And he is a member of the crew. Let's just go ahead and say that right now. We don't need to role play all the ways that he becomes a member of the crew, but we do need to introduce him. This new member of the crew, his name is Uric. And I would like to start with a scene where we see Uric 48 hours before the job. Uric?
Ooh, I like it. Where are you? Uric, I walk up just floor after floor of this like leaning, very decrepit apartment building. It's very gloomy. Most of the floors don't even have like a gas lamp on them, and so it's a lot of reaching in the dark for handholds. And I finally
an electroplasmic lamp. Go on.
I'm sorry.
I had to do it before the chat.
You. Wow. You just got steampunked, Andrew.
No, it's not steampunk. It's electroplasmatic punk. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I should have known that. I mean, I've got the book right on my lap. No excuses. Yes, so there's not a lot of light. I should have just said that. Fuck me for getting fancy. I finally reached the door that I was looking for, and there's a bunch of thick centipedes, like as big around as my thumb, writhing around a rat's corpse. A doorway that I kind of like kick sideways out of the way, and then I knock on the door very softly, and I say, Belgren, it's me, old friend. And then I have a key in my pocket because I paid the rent for this apartment, but I know I won't need it because Belgren doesn't know to lock the door. And sure enough, the door opens easily, and I walk in. And what's Belgren doing, Jared?
Well, Belgren isn't well. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think
Belgren is
having another spell. I think he's having a bad day. Some days are good and some days are bad. So could you tell me what it looks like when he's having one of his bad days?
I think I usually keep his he's a student at the university with me, and I usually keep his writing implements locked up until it's time to go to university. But he has broken open the case, and he is scrawling arcane scribblings all over the wall. He's like pushed his the cot that he sleeps on aside, and he's scribbling on the floor, and he's just kind of like covered the apartment with it, and he just has like a nub of like a pencil that
and some of it is just it's literally bathroom graffiti. Like he goes from arcane sigils and like mathematics to just like like genitals and like weird like the things from his nightmares, big like sawtooth monsters, and like it's complete abstract like surrealist nonsense.
Yeah, I'll kind of walk up quietly next to him, and I kneel down next to him, and I'll put my hand on his shoulder and be like, Belgren, it's me, friend.
He turns to you with wild eyes, and like his eyes are like so bloodshot, and they're like so wide, but at the same time you can tell like he desperately needs sleep, and like whatever is going on with him means that he's wanted to go to sleep for like maybe days, but he just something in his system isn't letting him, and he's like, Uric, hello. I think I figured it out. The earth opens like a walnut, like a walnut, and he's just like kind of, you see he's drawn like in a corner of the room this like beautiful like cross section of a walnut, and it's like the organisms inside of it that make it work and like reproduce.
Whoa. I'll kind of pat him reassuringly in the back. That's great. I brought you some food if you're hungry. Some mushrooms and some tinned fish.
Oh, yes, food.
Why don't you take a break, and I'll look over your work here.
Oh, yes. I'm afraid you'll be quite jealous. I think you'll find some of my conclusions to be quite groundbreaking. Look, I want you to know that I'm going to give you a credit when I publish. Can you help me let go of this?
Oh, yeah, let me take that, Belgren.
God.
Kind of like pry his white knuckles off the pencil nub.
Oh, yes. I was quite famished.
I'm going to kind of take in all of the scribblings and just very quietly kind of shake my head. When do you think you'll be ready to publish?
I don't know. I'm going to need to hire some sort of assistant to get all this into, some readable form. Unfortunately, I'm a little short on coin right now, Uric. Many thanks for the food, but do you think you could spot me, just until my parents send more?
I'm afraid I'm a little short myself, Belgren, but there's always work to be done, and I've put my feelers out for any odd jobs that might have come up, and but you could. Don't worry, I've paid in advance for your flat here, and you should be fine.
I want to thank you, Uric. You can see that he's like sitting down in his bed now. This place is quite sad. It's like one room and like a cot. It's a student, but a poor student's lodging. And it is, as you have mentioned, in addition to the scrawl over the wall, his mental state has taken its toll on his furnishings, and all of his things are sprayed everywhere. But he has kept a little space clear on the bed, and he sits down, and you can tell that like your entrance has given him an excuse to kind of slow down for a second, and he might be about to collapse. But before he does, he looks into your eyes and he goes, "I want to thank you, Uric. Thank you."
Thank me for what? What would you have to thank me for?
If you hadn't convinced me, if you hadn't had, the vision to convince me to use the serum on myself, I wouldn't be having all of these revelations. I mean, I estimate I'm using approximately 30 to 40% more of my cognitive function now. Thanks to you. It's all thanks to you.
I normally have very, very pale skin, but when he mentions this, I think I grow like a shade paler. And I'll run my hand through his like sweaty, dirty hair and kind of try to soothe him, see if I can get him to sleep. I'm not sure I did you any favors with that, Belgren.
I need a coin to submit for a new course. I have been ejected from political economy.
I think your talents were wasted there. Anyway, well, as I said, if I find some work, I'd be happy to share the spoils with you.
No, I was even having one of my good days. It's just that the instructor, he learned of my family. He learned I was Skovlin.
Who's this? Professor Ludwin?
Yes, Ludwin. A brilliant man. Hates Skovlanders, though.
Yes, well, that much is known. I'll sort of push a lot of the debris off the bed and kind of tuck him in as best I can. Pick all the pill bugs that are like that big out of there and kind of like toss them sideways across the room.
That was 48 hours ago. Now, the Kinohora is about to engage in this job, and I think we can kind of slide over how they came to know Uric. Clearly, he is motivated in the same way that they are. And we should let our viewers know that he is a leech, and pretty soon we may find out what some of his abilities are.
A lot of borrowing money from the other players. Thanks, guys.
Well, motivated to maybe get some coin, certainly. I would like to also set up one other scene, which is I would like to let poor Violet know that Bina Jaffe, after kind of doing a lot of information gathering for you about Ludwin, needed to go handle some other business and also recover a little bit. She's the one that seems to take a lot of hits during missions. But poor Violet and Elazar, of course, has been in his apartments, going over his books constantly, and of course, poor Violet. She seems to be sort of the nexus of strangeness all of the time. And so what I would like to tell her is that in the passing days, as this score was kind of being planned, she has grown to know a new friend, a new member of the crew. This strange statue made of stone and mud, an ancient sort of hull that has been brought all the way over from a temple in Scoveland. This item, this artifact, has begun moving around the hideout. And I will allow the player of this being, the Golem of Charhollow, to describe what it's been doing.
The Golem of Charhollow has been mostly, during the day, sort of standing oddly still in Elazar's study, but when the night falls, it ventures out into the streets, and there have been strange tales of being told amongst the bluecoats who patrol Scoveland neighborhoods, harassing people, have been getting the shit beaten out of them by an enormous man.
An enormous, extremely nondescript man.
Sure.
Very dirty, seemingly covered in mud.
Yes.
I think that in terms of, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, since you are the player of this being, but I think in terms of poor Violet's experience, every once in a while, this thing just like gets up and then just walks out of the shop.
Yes.
I think it got to the point where, because where is Elazar?
Elazar's still there, but he's
in sort of, he doesn't want to be bothered.
He's absorbed in his studies.
He's in his room.
And I think it got to the point where Violet was just coming by and doing the chores every day and dusting things, and this thing kind of was moving around, and she was just like,
it seems engaged with you.
Hello.
There, like it's looking at you.
Yeah.
Face is sort of this mask of fury and heartbreak that's really unsettling.
All the time.
All the time.
A mask of fury and heartbreak is my favorite description of a character that I've heard.
Yeah.
Can I ask, Aaron, does the golem communicate? Does it talk?
I think it talks a little bit in another language that sort of sounds like a combination of a person wailing and rocks grinding together. I think it's probably speaking in a dead language of some kind.
Very good. If the golem is in fact killing bluecoats, I'm just going to make a note
I don't think it's killing them for the
if the golem is in fact beating bluecoats to in a way that they would remember. I'm going to go ahead and make a note that there is possibly more heat coming toward the Kinohora when they get to their next downtime session. You've done nothing wrong. You've just made the story more interesting. And now I think we should discuss the score, and maybe we'll find out how the crew met Uric, or how poor Violet learned that she was going to be the leader of this particular job when she is the youngest and perhaps in some ways most unpredictable of the crew. But we might find that out in flashbacks. Keep in mind while you play through the score that at any time you can tell me, hey, I'd like to take a flashback. We'll sort of play out the scene. I'll tell you how much stress it cost you to kind of play out that flashback. Basically, if it was a minor sort of setup thing that you did before the adventure started, then it'll be like 1 stress. But if it's a major or unlikely or somewhat incredible action that you took before the score started, then it may cost up to 3 or 4 stress for you. So remember that you can do that, and remember that we might find out how Uric got to fall in with these folks, or how Violet came to sort of lead this particular mission. But right now, let's just get into the game rules. And the game rules say that if you are going to humiliate Professor Ludwin in a public way that makes him change the way he behaves toward his Skovland servants without endangering their livelihood, I want you guys to remember all of that, because, and I think it's common sense, and you can kind of tweak this if you want, but I think it's common sense that if he just gets angry and fires all of his staff, then you will have actually struck a blow against the Skovlanders, right? So you must change his mind. You are changing someone's heart in this mission, which seems to me to be a lot more difficult than people might think. On one hand, it looks like maybe a simple intimidation job, but on the other hand, it could be quite difficult. And so now you must choose your approach and the detail. And the approaches are assault, deception, occult, stealth, social, and transport. And even though some may seem a poor fit, keep in mind any of them could be used. I can even think of ways that transport could work for this job, but I would rather you think of those things. So tell me what you guys can discuss it just as players. What do you think would be a good approach for this job?
I have an idea. I think so. I mean, we're changing his heart. You know, how do you do that? We're gonna have to Ebenezer Scrooge him, or we're gonna have to incept him somehow. I think we make him think that something has happened. He's incurred the wrath of Skovland. I can perhaps ask my sister to make an appearance.
Well, we happen to have a terrifying bit of Skovland lore in the form of this golem, right?
That is true.
We do, honestly.
If Skovland golem were to haunt his steps.
Truly. I think a cult might be the way to go here.
Try and spook him.
I was gonna say the other thing we could do, and we could even do this in combination with it, is that I traffic in poisons and alchemical things that perhaps we could slip him to alter his mindset.
If we can scare him with the presence of the Golem of Charhollow while he's tripping on horrible steampunk LSD, and at the same time, ask maybe my ghost sister to huck some mugs around the room, we got a haunted fellow on our hands.
But we just have to make sure that he knows that the way out of this haunting is to be like understanding and cool, and not to try to banish it by hiring a rival gang to come and ghost bust our golem.
What's the golem gonna do? Can I ask that as a player?
Absolutely.
Because I think the golem, according to my character sheet, my functions are to destroy that which my master commands.
It says Master Eleazar or Poor Violet?
I think it's Eleazar.
It is.
Yeah. And in fact, Aaron, I don't mean to say that Eleazar can poke his head in. He just can't go on the job. So
he'll probably write down the guy's name for the golem, slip it to him.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
What if? Okay, so does the golem work in the same way that like golems work throughout folklore, where it's like you write a command for them, you put it in its mouth, and it'll do that?
The note in the mouth was sort of the animation process.
Okay. Well, I was thinking maybe you could make like kind of a half. That's a good note. You could make kind of a half completed command, and we could say like, all I have to do is put in the period.
Yeah, like a Mad Libs. Give us a blank check for this golem. We'll fill it out.
No, just like kill that guy. Kill the professor's name, and like it's not complete yet. I'll tear it in half.
Oh, so he sets out to kill him, and then we tear it in half before he succeeds.
I'm just saying.
as your game master, I'm gonna jump in. We don't need to do all the planning right now, according to Blades in the Dark. We just need to decide the approach.
Yeah, you guys.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Occult.
Well, it's just that's how this game keeps it moving. So you've decided occult, and we do need to decide the arcane method. And it sounds like the golem is sort of the crux. The arcane method is to sort of control the golem to sort of hound this guy. Now there are other things in play. We were perhaps going to have ghosts also add to the effect. Perhaps going to have drugs add to the effect. But is the key component the golem, or is the key component the drugs, or is the key component the ghosts?
I think the key component is the golem, and I think
that there is a golem.
I think basically, not that we need to decide this, but I think maybe poor Violet is going to go ahead of the golem, and Uric and I will try to tell the professor, like, hey, this thing's coming to kill you. We can stop it.
Very good. Well, then let's pick up.
Yeah, like we're the Ghostbusters, and we help him. And just for the players' benefit, and for you two, I am also a Scovelander as well.
Oh,
yeah.
But I mask it because being Scovelander at the university is like a very hard time. So I have, I've kind of like masked my Scovelander heritage largely at school.
Probably not even.
And your friend Belgren, friend Belgren was ejected from the professor's class when his identity was discovered. He's also a Scoveland person. And so I would like to set that scene, and let's set that scene, the meeting of Uric and poor Violet to sort of warn and set up this professor for the haunting of the golem. And so I would like to set up, let's say you are catching him where you know you can catch him at the end of one of his lectures. And so he's saying, and in this way, we see that resources must move upward to the actors who are most willing to engage in violence, who have the most aggressive and effective technology, who are the most advanced. The advanced races must take the resources in order for society to progress forward into the future. Suddenly, a chime rings somewhere in Charterhall University. Boom, boom, boom. And excited students begin to filter out of the lecture hall. And in fact, right now, our Professor Ludwin is surrounded by students who are excitedly asking him questions, trying to get a word from him, trying to please him, prove that they have been paying close attention, that they've read his many books. And Ludwin, you should know, is a young man, but he affects the air of the aristocracy, even though he works as a professor. You have at least learned that he is one of a family where his elder siblings inherited wealth and titles, but the family had many children, and so he has taken the respectable position as someone who teaches the youth of Duskval, teaches the Akarosi nobility about the things that the Akarosi nobility believe. And so that is how you find him. I'm going to say that Uric and poor Violet are back looking into the lecture hall as these students surround him, and he's laughing and like talking to them, and he is handing them books that he recommends to them. What
books that he wrote.
Yes, that he wrote. Yes, exactly. I think he really seems happy with himself. Please,
I'll bend down to poor Violet and whisper, like, "Let's wait until he's finished getting his silk stuffed before we talk to him."
Yes.
Very good. Okay. So it takes quite a while, and finally he is exiting the lecture hall, and he still has like 3 students in tow. One of whom is probably like a grad student type who assists him, and he's dictating to them as he walks. And you also notice that there is a Scoveland servant with him a man who acts as sort of a bag man, like if you've ever seen Veep, like
oh yeah,
you know,
Tony Hale character,
who just hands him things, like when he asks for them, like pen, and the servant hands him a pen and he signs something. So they are exiting, his little party is exiting out of the lecture hall right now.
And forgive me, I'm not trying to backseat DM. Do we need to do an engagement roll before we start this?
Yes, we absolutely should. And thank you for reminding me. The chat is probably like, where's the engagement roll? Where's the loadout? Where's the fucking loadout? Logan, you fuck me on this. Where's the loadout?
You can thank Secret DM Clint for giving us the cheat sheet to remind me.
So we start with one die for the engagement roll. Is this bold and daring?
This part of the plan or the plan overall?
No, in general. I would say it is bold and daring because you're using some kind of unpredictable forces. So I'm going to give you a die for that. Does it expose a vulnerability? I'm going to say not necessarily.
The goal is to expose the vulnerability, his vulnerability, into letting Scovlanders into his heart as
and
you don't know for certain that he is superstitious. That
you mean as in a known vulnerability? True.
But also, I would say that we are letting him know that he's not untouchable.
And I'd say that racism comes from a place of ignorance, and we are exploiting that vulnerability in his psychology.
Interesting, but no. And friends and contracts help. Now, I do think that that's possible because you know that this information network that you are trying to kind of get to your side, there are Scovland servants who work for him who may be disgruntled. This is what you've heard, on the street. So I am going to add a die for that. That's a possible way that you could get some help during this job.
I feel like Uric is even a contact at the university, probably as a member of the Kinohora Elazars, like you.
Yeah, I mean, Uric definitely goes to Drax's books, right? So between that, you even have someone who is a student at the university. So that I'm going to give you the die for friends and contacts can help. Does the target have? Is the plan overly complex? I don't think so. Does the target have a special defense or preparations? I'm not even going to tell you if that's true or not.
Oh man!
Are enemies or rivals involved in the operation?
Shield of racism. What's that?
Likewise, I'm not going to tell you whether enemies or rivals are involved. I'm just going to now roll your. I know what the engagement roll is, and I'm going to roll it.
Oh, he's got an anti-golem ray. Is that what you said, Aaron?
Yeah.
Well, you should know that your position at the beginning is controlled.
Oh, good.
Controlled position when you start. So I'm going to take that to mean he's not in any way, shape, or form expecting to go up against a criminal gang, right? Like, and so he has not heard or he doesn't suspect that any of his servants might be set against him philosophically. And so you have surprise and fear on your side. And so as we begin, you are in a controlled position. And the next thing I will ask you is, what type of loadout would you like to take? Light, medium, or heavy?
Honestly
choose that for everyone.
Everybody will have the same loadout. Yes.
Honestly, I think since we're not trying to sneak around necessarily, and this is a school and we could get away with wearing backpacks, I think we can maybe get away with a medium.
Yeah. We want to go with the normal load. So you guys all have 5 items each, and you can pick those as you need them. Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah, you don't have to pick them now. You pick them as you need them. And now I will return to the beautiful scene that I carefully laid out moments ago. It was like being there. What, did I film it? No, I was just speaking words. And so we see that Uric and the wispy poor Violet are sort of just waiting in the doorway of this lecture hall as Professor Victor Ludwin exits with his servant and his students.
Can I have, it feels foolish to do immediately. Can I have a flashback and
sure
planning scene? I would like to I don't think Eleazar can help with this, but if he can poke his head in, I want to comb. What's the name of the book? Drax's books.
Drax books.
I mean, I'm Scovelander myself, but I really want to comb through the books, and I want to cobble together a Scoveland legend that will not only convince this Victor Ludwin, but his Scoveland bagman, any of his servants who overhear him talking about it. I wanted to ring true to them as well, so that he is surrounded by the scariness of this idea, and we're not just approaching him with oh yeah, this thing's gonna come after you. I want to create a true Scoveland boogeyman tale.
Very good. I think I'd love to set a scene with Eleazar, who is sort of still in the game a little bit, Aaron, if you don't mind. Sure. And Uric comes to you and it's like, what can, he describes the situation he just describes to you. I want to create a story that is completely believable and terrifying about Scoveland history and lore. And so how did you do that? How did you guys put your heads together and figure that out?
I think Eleazar is actively currently combing through those books, terrified about what he's potentially wrought, because there's no explanation for how to sort of put the golem back in the bag.
You don't know how to turn it off?
He doesn't. I don't think he knows how to turn it off.
Beating up cops every night.
I think there are all these stories, and he has them laid out all over his office.
Yeah,
of tales of golems being brought to life, and then wreaking horrible violence.
Yeah,
on the enemies of poor oppressed Scovelanders.
I want to take it
stuck on auto vengeance.
Yeah, I want to. I'll use that.
He's working on how to turn it off.
So I think that Uric and Eleazar, when you find him, Uric looks a lot like your friend Belgren. He's really strung out. He has all his books open, and you can tell he's worried. And you're like, I can use what he's afraid of in my plan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So take one stress. That's a very simple flashback, and I think that it's completely believable that you did all of that. And so, yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. I guess I would also want to ask poor Violet, do we want to suggest that a Scovelander has unleashed this on him, or just the wrath of Scoveland in general?
I think we want to suggest this is the wrath of Scoveland in general, that it has no particular
this creature comes to
master
to right the wrongs against people.
Right. Okay. Maybe even maybe even throw in like some once every 14 years, we can Jeepers Creepers this thing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you were in a controlled position to begin, I'm going to say that you know that this story, will you've connected it to like times when the Scovelanders have engaged in uprisings and there were like mysterious deaths. Like you found points in history where that happened. Yeah. And so you're able to really kind of engage him via political economy, which is what he says his subject is. It's really kind of a long-winded justification for colonialism is what his basic specialty is. But and so as he approaches you, you are in a controlled position. And you will have, I would have normally said, trying to spook this very smart man would have a limited effect. But I'm going to say, because you took the flashback, if you succeed, this will have a standard effect. This will have he will be spooked and afraid. So I want to know, what action are you using, Uric, as he's about to walk by you?
I will kind of very deferentially, like a student, kind of hail him, even though I'm not in his class. Excuse me, Professor Ludwin? I'm sorry to interrupt. I have some most dire news. It seems this young woman here has the gift of premonition and speaking with the spirits, and she comes with a most dire warning, and your name was specifically mentioned.
That is an unsanitary practice, young lady, and I don't recommend regular use of those types of oracles.
I know. I can't help it sometimes. I'm sorry.
You seem like you're of good Akarosi stock.
I am. I swear it.
Very well. If you must, this might be a good object lesson for some of you here. What do you prognosticate for me? What doom shall befall me?
Have you heard of what's happening in Charhollow?
Charhollow. Well, I'm very aware, and we have discussed some of the things that are happening in Charhollow, haven't we? We've discussed how the demeanor, the sort of propensity of the Skovlen for violence has caused problems. Yes.
Do you know of the attacks?
The attacks.
Night
Yes,
after night.
I'm aware. Yes, I'm aware that the entire district is constantly barely kept bottled, and this is why we need stricter regulations.
No, it is no Skovlander. Pardon me. I must
Young
tell
lady,
you.
why don't you finish your monologue and then I will analyze it for you.
Night after night, wicked men are attacked in the streets. Men known for beating and mistreating the poor and the hungry. People think it is the Skovlanders, but it's not. It's a creature, a towering hulk, and she's getting terrified. She's hollow-eyed, terrified. Hulking creature with, what did you say, Aaron? Rot in its face.
No, fury and heartbreak.
Fury and heartbreak.
Fury and heartbreak, breaking their ankles, leaving them to crawl in the mud and the snow. I've seen it.
And sir,
in my dreams, I've seen it come for you.
For me.
For you.
Well, that will be difficult since I don't normally venture into Charhollow. And I would only say...
Even now it walks this way. Even now, unceasing steps through the night, through the cold.
And now it's
through
time
water
for a
and sludge.
What action are you using?
I would like to attune. I would like to implore my connections on the other side to make candles flicker and wind blow, and the looming darkness within poor Violet's eyes seep out into the room a little bit.
Great. I am going to say that this is a controlled action with standard effect.
Hell yeah. What do I roll? I never know.
That's it. No, it's okay. Hey, that's okay. You're gonna roll a tune.
Okay.
And would you like to push yourself and add a die to that?
2d6.
What do you have in a tune right now?
I
want to look at
I have
here.
2.
You have a 2. Yeah, you might want to push yourself, take a little stress, and add dice. You might want Uric to assist you in some way to add dice.
Honestly,
can I take a different action after her action, or is that not? Okay.
You certainly can, but I'm going to rule that right now, this is the moment where you try to scare him.
Sure.
Right? Where you try to get him thinking that this is real. And if this fails, he is going to not believe any of it.
Okay.
So not 5 actions from now, but right now. So you have to tell me if you're assisting her. If you're not, that's okay. But she can push, or she could take a devil's bargain if she wants.
I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna push it for 1 stress. Can I 1 die?
Yeah, I think that's how it works. Let me make sure. You pushing yourself. I think you actually take more stress than that, but let me make sure.
How much do I have?
I'll take a stress and give her a dice.
Okay.
Nope, that's not how. Can you do that? I don't think that you can do that.
Under teamwork, it says assist. Take 1 stress, give another character 1.
Oh, okay.
I'll take them both, baby.
Okay, great. And then you're gonna push as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see how much stress that's gonna give you. But yes, go ahead and roll 4 dice on this. It's roll.
Okay, great. Okay, so that is 6.
Yourself.
5.
You take 2 stress.
Got it. 6,
okay.
5. 2.
And I took 1 stress.
Mm-hmm.
And 6.
2 6s. That's a critical success. And so,
and I will say, even with this stress, like, I think a drop of blood escapes her nostril. Black blood. A little, yeah.
Okay. You've attuned to the ghost field. You've completely connected to it, and it's kind of like, all of the environmental factors you described, like the electroplasmic lights sort of flicker. You remove like the ambient heat from around you the way a ghost happens to do. What is the end result? I want you to tell me, and you can describe a little more about what happens to him, because you critically succeeded.
Excellent. Okay, can we say that at the end of this moment, we hear far, far away the wail of the golem as the sun sinks beneath the horizon, and she goes, "That's it.
There is no sun. It was blotted out 1,000 years ago."
Whatever.
Yeah. That mistakes made at least once in every Blades in the Dark game.
It gets even creepier. And yes,
I think I would like to be like, "That's it. It comes even now. I don't know how to stop it." And I think he just like hears it, and as you're doing it perfectly. He hears it, and a fracture of doubt in his facade of Puritan stoicness.
Professor, we would like to be of any assistance that we can with our rather limited knowledge of these things.
You say it is targeting wicked men. Well, as I have explained to my students many times, wicked is just a word that the uneducated use to describe someone who is entitled to more resources. And so
we can't let the golem like put this dude in a wheelchair for life and he's still alive, right? That's acceptable.
I don't see why not. You have freedom of action. It's up to you guys.
I'm just fucking with you.
And so he goes,
I wanted a Nazi punching episode, and instead I'm having fucking lunch with Ayn Rand.
By the way, I find the views and beliefs of Professor Victor Ludwin to be despicable. But I must play him honestly.
Yeah.
You are.
You are.
Lectures about skull density.
I think he has some interesting concepts.
But he does look nervous, guys. Some sweat has broken out on his brow, and he's kind of backing away from you, and his laugh is very hollow. And then he's like, canceled my appointments and my second lecture. I just remembered I have some business to deal with at home.
No, wait, you can't leave. How do we stop it?
He's
hurting people.
Hurrying away and dismissing his students, and he's hurrying away.
She shouts after him, "It's hurting people!"
Sir,
and then an evil grin spreads across her face.
Accompany you and share what little knowledge we have.
What action are you using? No,
I'm using sway. I went to sway, and I'm a student at the university, and I want to kind of convince him that we are still of further use.
This guy is extremely arrogant, and he thinks students are, very beneath him. He teaches them things. So it's gonna be a little tough. I'm gonna say that it's risky, and I'm gonna say that it is for standard effect. And by that I mean, if you convince him, he will believe that you have some sort of insider information that he can use, and you can stay with him if you'd like. Okay. If you fail, he's going to say, "Get away from me, leave me alone." Do you want to take any kind of pushing or assistance from teammates, anything like that?
I already have 2 stress. When do bad things start happening to you with stress?
Well, you don't want to fill it up, because if you fill it up, I believe then you take a trauma and then or no, you don't take a trauma, but you can start taking harm, and if your stress is full, you're out of the job. You're just out of the job.
I think I'm worried that if this guy gets away from us, he could just shutter himself up in his place, which I'm sure is probably a little more difficult to get access to him than while we have him right here. So
sure, we need to kind of get him. We need to make him get it. You know what he needs to do.
Yeah. What would the devil's bargain be in this case?
Yeah. So if you want an extra die, the devil's bargain will be he has swayed you to stay with him, but you are going to. The devil's bargain I'm going to give you is that you are going to. You're going to have a hard time. The complication is you're going to have a hard time listening to his despicable ideas. And I may at some point, if you have a complication, decide that you attack him, or you do something that endangers the subtlety and the score itself.
Okay, I like that.
Okay. I was going to say, I can also help you.
Do you want to take a stress for it?
I only have 2.
Can the golem do anything to try to enhance this narrative?
No, you're out of the game for now, Aaron. Actually, he should do something, right? The golem should do something.
Sure.
So would the golem like to do some kind of setup action? The golem could take a flashback, for example, and have done something earlier.
Right.
Or the golem could
the golem has sort of, it doesn't really creep into places. It just sort of walks through doors as if they're not locked and no one really expects it. So it can get into places that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to get to.
Walk confidently.
Yeah. It's
you can
made
go most places.
Into this professor's bed chamber and just destroyed his bed in an inhuman way. Just done unspeakable violence to the place where he is most vulnerable.
Are we saying that this is a flashback?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I just want to know if it was currently happening. So
can it currently happen?
It could currently happen. Would you like for it to currently happen?
Yeah.
Then he just needs to give me an action roll. Across town, as you guys are accosting this professor, the golem is just moving through Charhollow, and I assumed it was daytime, so the golem might.
Oh, is it daytime?
There's
no sun.
Yeah. You know what? The point is taken, and it is the most fun. Actually, there's no fun. Is the most fun in a game. So it's all shadowy everywhere in Duskfall. I forgot. Don't worry about that, Aaron. You were creeping through the streets, but as you said, you don't really creep. You just walk. And what action is the golem rolling?
Wreck.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense. Give me wreck. I would say that here's the problem. I think you have limited effect. And the reason why is you guys didn't necessarily find out where this guy lives.
Oh, that's
you didn't
true.
necessarily pinpoint exactly where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's why it's limited effect. But I would say that it is
somebody's bed's gonna get destroyed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's risky, and the reason is because even though it is shadowy everywhere in Duskfall, there might have been witnesses to this rampage that is starting up at the same time that these guys are kind of trying to, wrangle the professor into its path. But I love it. I think it's exciting. How much do you have for wreck?
I have 2.
Would you like to push yourself or do anything to improve that? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you get a critical hit, you will have just found your way into his apartment and ripped it to shreds and left this horrifying message on the wall and done all the lovely things that you want to do. But if you, get a complication, well, then you will have complications.
I also have I have an ability called Overcharge. So I can take 1 drain to perform a feat of extreme strength or speed. Run faster than a horse, rend metal with my bare hands, etc. Is that something I can use?
It is absolutely something that you can use.
That rules.
So that would give me an extra dice if I take 1 drain?
Let's see. Let me see. It lets you do an incredible feat. but I don't think it'll give you extra dice. It will just allow you to describe something miraculous that only a hull could do.
Okay. All right.
So
we'll do that.
Okay.
I'll do that, and I guess I'll push the roll, so that would give me 2 drain.
2 more drain, and so 3 drain altogether. And then I'm gonna, you can go ahead and roll that, and depending on how many successes you get, we'll tell you exactly what the golem did in his rampage.
Okay. I rolled a 6, a 5, and a 3.
Okay, so you succeeded, flat out succeeded. And so here's what I'm going to rule, okay? You realized that your crew realized that he definitely lives at the top of this kind of charter hall neighborhood that has a lot of students in it, and bohemian types, artists, lecturers, scholars, right? And the best apartments in that neighborhood are along the top of the old wall that used to surround the old city of Duskfall. So what I would like to know from you, the Golem of Charhollow, did you just knock down a huge section of that wall and maybe make some houses fall off of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The only thing the golem can say is, "Oh yeah,
oh yeah."
The golem isn't sure which of these houses is Professor Ludwin.
Oh, good.
It doesn't matter.
Let God sort them out.
None of them are Scovlanders, and he pushes, and rocks start falling. And see like houses and apartments that are at the top of it like swaying, and then finally a giant section of the wall goes down. A giant cloud of dust goes up, covering everything. People are screaming, running through the streets. Meanwhile, I'm afraid I don't need any assistance, gentlemen. I myself on my own.
So cool. So I could roll 4 die given everything that has happened
to sway him, right?
Yeah. Great. Oh no. Ooh. I got. What was my position when I did it?
Oh boy, I said that it was. I said that it was standard. I think.
Controlled.
I said it was. I think it was risky and
risky standard.
Risky.
I think mine was risky.
Yeah, but you succeeded.
Oh yeah, his was risky too.
So you're good, and yours was risky too. Standard risky. How did you do?
I got a 4. Was my best roll. So you do it, but suffer consequence.
So that means that you suffer a consequence. So here is what is going to happen. He is going to say that he wants you with him, but he wants that weird little girl to stay away from him.
Okay.
And the devil's bargain I threw at you is in effect. He keeps talking and talking, Uric, and you just desperately want to put an axe in his skull. Because everything he says, like this man is incapable of going 3 sentences without peppering in some intolerance, which he has embroidered as science or pseudo-intellectualism. And so he's like, he trusts you because you're a student. You seem to have studied his work, and so he says to follow him. But he wants that.
Yes, okay. Are you sure you don't want this young woman's cognition has proved invaluable?
I've seen the creature. Even now it approaches.
Don't try to convince him again.
No. I'm just doing it like flavor wise.
Yes, flavor wise. He goes, of course not. In fact, you know what? He goes to an office at the front of the university right before you walk out onto the steps out into Charter Hall, and he starts talking to a man in a uniform there with a kind of strange cap, and you realize that he is talking to university security.
I'm going to leave post-test. I will.
I'll give you like a wave provide of like catch up with you elsewhere.
Okay, don't kill him.
Professor Ludwin is saying, you are not doing your job. Undesirables are walking in here. People who seek the resources inside of here are trying to come in and take it without permission. I need your name. And he's just like kind of dressing down all of the security there. And they know that he holds sway there. So they're kind of running out and looking for a little girl. And in fact, I'm going to say that's the big complication that our friend rolled here. And so poor Violet, I want to know what you're doing to deal with this security. While Professor Ludwin allows Uric to accompany him to his carriage.
I am going to try to slip out of a window and escape the grounds and go to what I believe to be the area of the professor's house, and be there to observe the golem and see if I can be a woman on the ground, so to speak.
Very good. Okay, that makes sense. What action are you going to use? Because these men in sort of, they're not blue coats. They're university security, so they have like kind of a weird version of like a scholar hat, with the little tassel hanging down.
Sure.
But then there's
graduation.
And they're carrying like these like long wooden sticks that they use to kind of discipline students who try to hold meetings. And so they're kind of moving around looking for you right now. And
did this really happen? This feels like it's coming from a place of truth.
Yeah. I mean, I was a bit of a firebrand in my university days. Let's get into that later. Right now, I want to know what action poor Violet is
okay,
using.
I was thinking of doing the prowl, but I think
is that a dance?
The old prowl, but I think it's going to be a tune once again, as I have 2 dice in that, and I think poor Violet's just at this moment, her sister, the beautiful, lovely Rose, appears just behind her, over her shoulder. She's in her mostly human form. She's not using scary voice,
right?
But I think she still sounds like Big Sister, and she's like, you better get out of here.
Yeah, and she's like, you need help.
And she's like,
they're going to find you.
She's like, I'll distract them again. And then she's going to go and she's going to kind of open doors. So the guard's like, I saw a door open over there. Oh, look, there's a bottle. Oh, rolling through the hallway. You know what I mean?
What are you rolling? What action?
I'm going to roll a tune.
Okay, great. And I have a devil's bargain for you here.
Hit me with that.
If you want an extra die, you just have to allow lovely Rose to show up a couple more times during this adventure. Maybe when you haven't called on her.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Great. Done.
Okay. 3 then?
That's right.
All right. That's a 4. That's a 2. Come on, baby. That's a 3.
A 4, a 2, and a 3. So you got a success with a complication with your 4. That's the best that you did. And so you have unleashed lovely Rose on the university. And while you told her to just open some doors and make it look like you went a different direction, she starts going full poltergeist.
Oh, no.
Throwing open doors, making filing cabinets come rolling out of offices. In lecture hall, she's writing in chalk like, now is the burning time. And people are like now like going nuts and like running everywhere, and the entire university is on high alert.
Sure.
And so even as the Professor Ludwin and Uric wait for his carriage, they can even see the effects of this already. Students are kind of running out and screaming, and Ludwin looks a little more nervous, and he's like, "What do you think's going on in there?" Where is my carriage? He turns to his bagman and he's like, I want to be patient, but I specifically called for a carriage and I need it now. Where is it? Where is it? And the guy's like, I don't know, sir. I'm very sorry. And finally, a carriage comes rattling up. This is a horse-drawn carriage. It's a little more classy than going in one of the steam-driven electroplasmic contraptions that kind of rattle around. It has old-world elegance, which is what Professor Ludwin is all about. He gets in and he's like, join me.
Yes, thank you.
You haven't been in Coleridge or Charhollow recently, have you?
I've perhaps just in a carriage ride such as this, but
but you haven't entered the district on foot.
I can't say why I would.
Good. I can't stand it when people try to carry contagions into my transport. Very good. Home. And the carriage starts rattling along. You did escape, poor Violet. So I would like to cut back to you. You did escape. You just are a little bit worried about the fact that Lovely Rose seems to be kind of going on a rampage. And I will allow you to arrive first if you can tell me what you do in order to do that. You were trying to race a carriage.
I am weirdly enough going to use Wreck because I think in her dismal luck, poor Violet, she knows the way, but she doesn't know that she shouldn't be cutting through this swamp, and she finds a shortcut, but she shows up muddy and bedraggled and her socks are wet and she fell down a hill and
okay.
Poor Violet.
I get it. I totally get it. I think I know what you're talking about. Roll Wreck and let's see how it goes. And minus success means you get there and it can with the goal.
That's a 1 and a 2.
Oh, that's terrible. So poor Violet has awful luck. We've established that. And poor Violet, sometimes her awful luck is weirdly lucky, right? Like she may have like run into all these, like, as you say, shortcuts that would have like battered her, gotten her muddy, and like broken someone's, 2 workers with glass are walking by and battered it. But in fact, in this particular case, it has held her up. And so she does not arrive at the rendezvous location as planned.
And
so when the professor and Uric are approaching the professor's home, the golem is still just destroying the neighborhood.
Oh no! We're so subtle.
Can I buy a flashback?
You can and you should.
So it's common knowledge that Professor Ludwin's bagman is a Skovlander, and I think, assuming that he sometimes leaves the professor's side, even if it's only at night to go home or something. I made it a point to meet him in a bar or wherever he might go, like a Skovlander bar in Charhollow, and get to talking with him, talk about his job with the professor, because I'm a student at the university myself, and then to put this story of this golem in his head as well, because I would like for him to be the one to present the professor with this out, as it were, in this folklore.
Very good. And what is this man? Is this the bagman, or this is different?
The bagman.
It is the bagman.
Yeah, this guy who's his right hand.
Yeah. Bethel. Okay. And so you've told him this whole story, and you've kind of let him know that it is because of someone's wickedness against the Skovlan nation that they are targeted by this thing, and you have gotten him to believe it. Do you want to have just told him 1 stress? Do you want him to have definitely believed it? 2 stress.
What is it? 1 stress.
I'm giving you a choice. You can take 1 stress to have just told it to him and see what he does with it. Or you can take 2 stress that you convinced him it was true. You got him drunk, and you really kind of made him believe it.
I can't make a sway roll and try to convince him.
This is a flashback. I just want you to tell me how much stress you're taking.
I will take the 2 stress.
Very good.
That's in addition to the 2 stress for the flashback, right?
No, sir. No. Just the 2 stress for the flashback.
Oh, okay.
Some flashbacks cost 1 stress, some cost 2, some cost 3, depending on what you're trying to do.
The
I'm giving you the option of taking less stress for a little bit less effect with your flashback.
I like that. Cool.
Sometimes I'll tell you something. By the way, guys in the chat, it is a horse-drawn carriage. People are like, there are no horses in Duskfall. In my Duskfall, there are. And also, sometimes I change the rules. For example, right now, I'm allowing Andrew to decide how many steps he'd like to take in a flashback and how much effect he gets in that flashback. Harper's a brilliant man, and so am I. So this is what's happening.
I'm glad you have the same relationship with chat that I do.
The horse-drawn carriage.
What a blasphemy. Yeah, I'll take the 2 stress to really... I want it to be in Bethel's mind as well. And what I really am banking on is I want this professor to be like, wow, this person has been so helpful to me, and I kind of missed it all along, and now they've helped get me out of this terrifying situation. I want Bethel to be the instrument of his revelation more so than these strangers who he just met.
Sure.
Right, that makes sense. And so as you arrive in Charterhall in the district, and you see that already Bluecoats are kind of like setting up a perimeter because something is tearing down the old wall, or at least this small section of it. And there's a lot of dust going up, and people like students and like it looks like, clerks and people that live in some of the housing that kind of are dotted up and along and attached to the old wall like barnacles. Like these people are like trying to climb down. Some of them have like, their heads are bleeding, or they're like limping as they like run out of this natural disaster that's been created. And that is when our friend, the Golem used overdrive, everybody. That is when Professor Ludwin goes, stop the carriage. And he gets out of the carriage to go and talk to the Bluecoats who have set up a perimeter. And Bethel kind of looks at you, and you can see that Bethel is a bit nervous. But you can tell that your stories have had an effect on him, Uric. You can tell that he very much believes that this might be, the curse of the Skovlan nation. Why has it happened right here on this block in this particular street where the professor lives?
I'll grab his upper arm and I'll be like, Bethel, this is your opportunity to help the professor see the error of his ways.
I don't know that the professor can be quite punitory when he is stressed.
Oh, well, let me put the professor in a better state of mind, and then you talk to him, all right?
Okay, so the professor is out there. I want to know what the Golem is doing. The Golem, you can see people kind of running. You can see houses sort of falling down. With the Golem,
have I found the professor's home?
Very good. What action are you using to do that?
Wreck. I'm wrecking my way through.
You're wrecking your way to it, huh?
I think that was the point of this whole thing.
It does. It makes total sense. You can use Wreck again. I'm going to again say that it has a limited effect. Wreck is not always very useful in finding specific things.
I could use Hunt, I guess.
Ooh.
You could use Hunt.
Okay. I have fewer dice, but let's do that.
Okay, very good. You're going to use Hunt. Would you like some kind of, would you like to push yourself? I don't think you can get an assist because your other teammates are sort of far away right now.
Sure.
Push it.
Yeah. How much does it cost to push it?
It'll cost you 2 stress and you'll get an extra die. That'll bring you up to 2 die.
Right. Can I do a flashback?
Of course you can.
Where Elazar has sort of found the location of the professor's study and has fearfully gone up to whisper the location in the Golem's ear.
Yes. Yes. So for that, I'm gonna charge you 2 drain.
Sure.
Because the Golem is having to use electroplasmic energy to remember something.
Right.
2
Please
drain,
don't kill him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he said, "Don't kill him, please. Don't kill him." But we'll see how the golem does. Right now, he's just looking for his study. Okay, and so the golem, with that's gonna increase your effect quite a bit. In fact, I'm gonna say this hunt roll will have great effect. You will not only find the study, you will find perhaps things you can use with the success.
All right. So I just have the one die.
You just have the one die because so you increased your effect, but that's
Let's see it.
5.
Yeah.
5 is good. 5 is a success with complications. And so what I want you to know is that you finally find that you've actually made the professor's apartment kind of fall halfway down the wall, but the building has sort of stayed intact. And the golem's able to climb up into it, and you're able to find his private rooms. And actually, all of his bookshelves have fallen down, and a secret door has fallen open. And there are safes and like things that he was trying to keep secret behind it have all rattled out onto the ground. And you can bash these things open. Do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tear them open.
Yes, bashing things open, you find and probably means nothing to the golem, but you find this like manuscript with an interesting symbol on it that is called the First. And you're not quite sure what that is, but it's like in this big leather-bound volume, and it looks like an occult tome. And because your master is Elazar Drakkar, you know that this looks interesting. This is something your master likes books. He will be pleased if you bring this back to him.
Okay, so take it.
I hope Elazar gets all of his books from now on.
But there was a complication, was there not, Golem?
Sure.
And the complication is, you there. We're clearing this area. And suddenly 2 blue coats come like waltzing in to the wreck of the professor's apartment.
Sure.
And they're holding like one is even holding a gun. The other one's holding a club, and they're kind of looking around, and they spy you. And one of them screams. Meanwhile,
also the golem has taken from the professor's desk his demerits and just strewn them everywhere and filled his broken safe with demerits.
Nice. Very good. So now, poor Violet, I think I'm going to finally allow you to arrive on the scene. And you tattered.
Bug bites.
Yeah, bug bites somehow. I don't know how that happened. But you arrive, and you're kind of on the fringes of this crowd that's developing around the blue coat cordon, around the block, around this portion of the street that abuts the old wall. And you might spot, in fact, to make things easier and open up your options, I think you probably do spy Uric and the professor's carriage. And the professor talking to some blue coats. What would you like to do?
I would like to go over and join Uric and Bethel, and I think because I think that is the best. Oof.
I don't know, if I see her coming toward me, I would try to wave her off to hide, given how that.
Oh, really?
Well, because the guy called the security on you specifically.
Jeez, maybe there's an item that can help.
I'll just allow that. But you can still take an action, poor Violet, that didn't use your action to walk over and get waved off. What would you like to do? And you can say nothing right now. You could say, I'm kind of hanging back and waiting for my moment. It's not
I think I'm gonna hang back and hide. I'm going to find a copse of trees and just chill and observe the situation.
Yeah. Very good. And so Bethel is he looks afraid to confront the professor, but I will let you know that this blue coat that's talking to the professor finally yells and calls over some other blue coats, and these gentlemen come over. And they seem to know the professor. They immediately put their hand on his shoulder and are nodding a lot more. And he's sort of it looks like now the professor is directing them. And so I would like to know what Uric does, or how he, sends Bethel into the mission now. Whatever Uric would like to do is fine.
I told Bethel to wait till I have spoken to the professor to make him a little more accepting of what Bethel has to say. But I'm not going to speak to the professor while he's talking to these bluecoats. Would this become a knowledge in Devhome that bluecoats function as their own gang and are sometimes used by people? Is this common knowledge?
Of course.
And is that what it seems like?
Especially to a radical Scovland student, yes.
And that seems to be what I'm seeing here, is that the professor has some bluecoats kind of working in his personal capacity.
This is the assumption that you've made, and I can neither confirm nor deny. Would you like to act on that assumption?
No, it's something I was more curious about, but I'm not going to risk an action of it. I guess I could take No, I'm not going to fuck up the plan just to figure that out. Yeah, I'm just going to hang back. I want to talk to the professor one-on-one.
Okay. So finally, you notice that the bluecoats he was talking to go running off, seemingly with a mission, and he turns back around to you, and he's like, he tells both you and Bethel, it would appear that terrorists have attacked the place where I live. Well, this aggression will not stand. I believe these terrorists will find a very difficult task to be getting out of Charterhall here.
Professor, I think your man Bethel here might have some useful information. And as I'm speaking to him, I'm pushing myself because I have the venomous ability where I am immune to trance powder, and I am exhaling it as I am speaking to him, just a little bit, just to put it under his nose and to put him in a more suggestive state for Bethel's help.
Great. Well, because that costs you stress, I'm going to say that, it happens, right? So he will be in a more suggestive state.
And I'll kind of like usher Bethel forward, like this guy kind of knows what's going on here because he's a Scovelander.
Bethel, don't just stand there dawdling. Speak. I always listen to your rustic, homespun, earth wisdom. And so Bethel goes, it is not terrorists you deal with, Professor. It is that the little girl said, you are cursed. Your words and your deeds against the people of Scotland have brought a great and terrible doom down upon you. Don't you see, sir? The blood of Scotland is strong, perhaps not for the construction of technology such as you Akarosi have, but strong with hatred against those who wrong us. And that blood has called out to a spirit of the earth, a primal thing that your people know nothing about. Sir, the Golem has destroyed this block looking for you. And that is when the professor is like, I like to dream, but
I didn't give him that much.
down.
I gave him a half dose. I didn't give him that much.
Hang on, that can still be bad. I watched The Devil's Advocate on acid one time, and it really sucked.
He goes, what do I do? I need a weapon. I need something that can affect things that are in the ghost field. It must run on some sort of electroplasmic principle. Come, there's a ghost hook in my apartment. And he starts running past the cordon, and the bluecoats try to stop him, but the professor's like, out of my way, I'll have you a job. And then he just starts running into like the dust cloud and running against against like the mass of people that are kind of trying to evacuate the area. And now I'd like to cut back to the Golem of Charhollow. You are with a blue coat with a gun and a blue coat with a cudgel, and they are kind of terrified of you, but they are going to make your unlife complicated. What do you do?
I'm gonna say that the guy closest to me is the guy with the gun, and I'm gonna sort of grab him by the hands that clutch the gun and just throw him out the window.
Oops. Oh no.
Great. That sounds like Wreck.
Yeah.
Is it Wreck?
That sounds like Wreck to me. I don't think I'd go. Oh yeah, he did hunt before, but
is there a defenestrate skill?
He can skirmish a little bit too, but it's up to you what action you use. So.
I think he's wrecking.
Okay, and because you've described like destroying the weapon, I think wrecking is appropriate. So go ahead and you can roll your wreck.
6 and a 1.
Wreck.
You rolled a straight wreck. So
is it bad if I also roll the 1?
No.
I rolled a 1 and a 6. Okay.
You grab it, you smash the gun, it goes off. Boom! It doesn't even hurt your big stone fist, but it kind of like the gunpowder and kind of flash in his face, and he's like, ah! As you like pick him up and toss him out like the sideways window, because remember this apartment is like barely hanging off the side of the wall.
Right.
And that is when the blue coat with the cudgel runs away. As he can go. Would you like to stay here, Golem of Charhollow? Tell me what the plan is, and if you want to stay for now and then like pipe in a second, you can. Or is there?
I feel like he probably throws this guy out the window as I think the last blue coat probably runs past the professor.
I think that you're probably right, and so I want to like let my other players know that if they want to have followed the professor, they certainly may have, but it looks like we're kind of all converging. If you wish to be,
I'm going to
if I could, yeah. I didn't know if I could get past the blue coats, but I would be like, let me talk some sense to him, and I would try to get past.
Well, here's what I want. I do want to roll. I want to roll from both Poor Violet and from Uric to kind of travel to the location, to follow the professor. Cool. And it doesn't just cover getting past the blue coats. It probably covers just like who has noticed you, how stealthy you are getting there, how subtle you are, how easily you're able to find it. Okay. So what action would you like to use, Uric?
I would like to, if it's okay, use sway to try to talk my way by the blue coats so that they allow me through the cordon. I'm helping the professor and I'm with Bethel and I'm like, let us talk some sense into him before he gets hurt.
I'm going to allow that.
And I want to talk to the blue coats that are on his payroll specifically.
Those guys ran off.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, they ran off on some sort of mission. But yes, you may certainly talk to the guys at the cordon. You may certainly use sway. Roll your sway. I don't have a devil's bargain for this one. Poor Violet, what are you doing?
I'm going to. Poor Violet is going to slip on her spirit mask that we saw in a previous episode, and in an attempt to sort of conceal her identity a little bit, but also she's going to attune to the ghost field in an attempt to see the, shall we say it, spectroplasmic signature of the golem and figure out the best, see if she can like see it almost like smoke rising from a bonfire, and try to slip in there.
Great.
Love it.
Okay, so unless anybody's pushing or doing anything special, how did you do, Uric? Did you roll?
4.
You got a 4, so that's with a complication. Poor Violet, how did you do?
I got a 6.
Okay, poor Violet, you just kind of like open your mind to the ghost field, and not only do you see like this bright, like kind of like flare up ahead that it has to be the golem, the hull that is the golem, you also are able to kind of enter the ghost architecture of the world in the ghost field with your spirit mask on and sort of climb through kind of hallways that other people can't see.
Always
arrive with the professor at the remains of his apartment. But my friend Uric, something not so great happens to you. You completely convince the guys to let you by, and as they're letting you through, you look back for a moment and you notice that a gun is floating up out of one of their holsters.
No!
At the cop, and he's like, "No!" And it goes off, and you can see that they're like pointing at you, like as you went past their cordon, but you succeeded with a complication. So the complication.
Poor Violet.
I didn't do that.
Lovely Rose.
Lovely Rose. Lovely
Rose is rampaging around.
Oh my god!
And
just
she
taking a cop's gun.
Look.
Yes.
I mean, we've all wanted to touch it at one point or another.
She's a party chick, man.
The Kinohora is subtle, but Lovely Rose is the most unsubtle ghost that's ever existed. Give me what I want.
It's only unsubtle if they know we did it.
That's true.
No, they think I did it.
Yeah, I'm blaming it on Uric. Okay, so now I'm going to set our final scene. The professor arrives at his apartment, and he just kind of runs in and starts digging through his things, and he probably hasn't spied the golem yet. Poor Violet, you kind of move out of the ghost field,
sure,
up to where you can see up ahead, like up a slope of like garbage and trash and pieces of house and like big stones. You can see the professor digging through the remains of his well-appointed apartment. And also Uric, you have arrived with Bethel right there with you. What would you all like to do? This is the final phase. You must make sure that he repents his ways, that he knows that only changing his heart, or perhaps you have a different way of fixing this.
I got a thing. I got an idea.
And I think the golem should act, because the golem's the one who's in
the golem has a note that he was given by Elazar. And as the professor turns around, as the doorway darkens behind him, the golem is upon him and takes this note, this giant piece of paper, and stuffs it in his mouth.
Well, he begins to. But that is when the professor turns around with a ghost hook. The ghost hook, of course, is a weapon that the Railjacks use to try to grab ectoplasmic spirits. Will it work against a golem, a hull with the spirit inside of it? Who knows? But it's definitely going to mess with your electroplasmic field. He turns around and it flashes on, and it's like he's holding like a big giant bug zapper that kind of sparks and crackles, and he's like, "Ha! Beast of a primitive culture! Advanced technology trumps you! You, the genius!
Before I try to stuff the note in his mouth, I'm just going to kind of just bat the thing out of his hand.
Okay.
Like a bear. Just
what are you going to use?
Wreck it!
In this case, because he has a weapon that specifically targets like the spirit inside of you, I think the golem might be afraid of it, or it might be difficult to interact with it. For whatever reason, it's difficult for you to interact with this particular weapon.
Okay, instead of wrecking the object,
desperate, limited, and you can take devil's bargains, push yourself, do things.
Instead of wrecking the actual object, can I just wreck his arm?
I think that either way, it's going to be desperate and limited, unless you do things to get around that somehow. But you can certainly wreck his arm, wreck the object.
Can I use a piece of equipment?
Can
there be an arcane implement around the golem's neck that was given to him?
Yes.
To protect him?
Does he have that on his equipment sheet?
There's arcane implements.
Arcane implements, indeed, my friend. Absolutely. So describe this arcane implement to me and what it does.
It's a small sort of crystal bulb that flashes and shatters as the ghost hook comes up, and it sort of more momentarily dampens the effect.
That's incredible. Check that off on your sheet that you took arcane implements. I love that it's sort of like just a protection against ghost hooks or against things that would like try to pull the spirit out of the golem. It's like a little talisman that stops that from happening.
For a moment.
Yeah, it's meant to short out spells that try to like move spirits out of the golem's body. And so your effect will now be, I think, I'm going to call this risky for standard effect. You will get the weapon out of his hand, but there's still a little bit of a risk.
Okay.
Let's see it.
I'm rolling wreck. Is this something I could overcharge? Or I could do overcharge to destroy this magical object?
The ghost hook? Nah, you could just probably destroy it. Like, even Uric or possibly Poor Violet could destroy it. Okay. It's not really like an incredible feat of strength, but you can push yourself like anybody else. You could take 2 drain and kind of get an extra die here.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll take the drain. This seems like an important moment. Okay.
Now I just want to say
1, 5, 6.
Yeah.
All right.
There it is. Is drain something different than stress? I'm sorry.
It's stress
for hulls.
For hulls.
Oh, it's a hull thing. Got it.
It's stress.
You wouldn't understand.
Yeah. We're already using the advanced playbooks, man. All right. So since you succeeded, I would like you to describe, Aaron, what you do.
With my left hand, I just sort of smash the ghost hook out of his hand as he turns around yelling about primitive cultures. And then with my other hand, just shove this note into his mouth, take him down all the way down to the floor until he's sort of just inches away from my terrifying face. And then it will slowly just let him go limp in my grasp and fall to the ground. And stand. Unmoving.
Very good. And so Uric and Poor Violet, you see, it seems like maybe the mission is complete. He's got this like note in his mouth, but I set up a complication earlier. Uric, you've had to listen to this man's racist dreck all the way across Charhollow. And now he is at your feet. He's hurt. He's helpless. His eyes are widely dilated. He is at your mercy. What action are you using not to give in to vengeance right
now? Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of my friend Belgren, who got tormented by this professor, and I guess I'm going to use can I use sway on myself to talk myself out of doing what I really want to do?
Yes, you may.
And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I'll do if I fail.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
1 second. No, it's okay. So people want to help. Absolutely. That's allowed. What happens there? They take stress and you get dice, right? So teamwork.
I got it, Aaron. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think just at that moment, as he's wrestling with this, Poor Violet steps out of the shadows in this kind of strange mask that she has, and puts a hand on his tweed coat and says, "No, his punishment is slower than this, Uric. And I will help."
That's pretty
good.
Take
a stress, add a die to your sway roll, Uric.
Cool. So that's 3 die, I believe.
Now listen, if you fail this, you are going to hurt him.
Yes.
I'm going to take a stress too and help also.
Okay, great.
I think just by Uric seeing that the golem has followed the directions to spare this creature.
Oh, come on, he's got to say one heartbreaking word.
He says, The golem, I guess you don't know that it's a woman's soul in there. She looks down and goes, "No."
Great. That's an extra die, and you take a point of drain, golem. Speaking, drains the golem.
Hey, I feel you. I get it.
All right.
The word sounds like it took it out of her.
If I fail this, I'm going to kill him.
Don't.
If you fail it, you'll kill him, and you'll essentially fail the mission.
Don't. You've got 4 dice. Just don't do it. Don't fail it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, y'all.
There it is.
I got a 6, a 5, 5, and a 2.
There it is.
6 is a success, and so I will allow Uric to narrate what he does next.
I think I'm absently fiddling with my bandolier, which has various alchemical compounds, and I have this standstill powder, and with my other hand, I have this grenade made of iron and clay, and I was just thinking about how I'm going to drug this professor with the standstill powder and then put the grenade in his mouth. And the efforts of poor Violet and this golem sort of cleared through the fog. And I remember that more than anything, I need to get some coin to help my friend out, who I'm directly responsible for. So I'll step back and kind of get a hold of myself.
Uric, you even see a valuable item, a music box, definitely of Scovlin make, that he's been keeping. And so, if you'd like, you may take that.
Yeah, I'll take that and pick it up.
Don't you Dybbuk us, Jared Logan. Don't you fucking do it.
I love it. I will allow the team if I don't know what the plan is. So is the team, have they finished here?
Did you get the book, Aaron?
Well,
the golem has the book.
Okay.
I would say I would implore the professor to read the note.
He'll read.
Professor, what is this?
I think the golem is going to leave.
Okay.
Also. Yeah.
That's
okay.
I think we just disappear. Honestly, no final words.
Oh, okay. You think this is enough?
I mean, he'll read the note.
He's gonna read. Hey, somebody puts a note in my mouth. I want to see what's on it.
All right, cool. And then I'll leave, and I'll just remind Bethel to be strong, and I'll kind of reassure him again, Bethel, you are indispensable to him, not the other way around.
I will remember, friend.
And I'll try to escape without getting arrested for not killing that.
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm gonna use my remaining items. I'm gonna use Spirit Key and my mask to try to get us at least part way into the distance through the spirit corridors.
Yes.
Because this kind of went tits up, but I think if we disappear, perhaps we can spread the rumor that it was just one of those strange paranormal natural disasters that happen from time to time.
If you were using your spirit key, then I will say that you guys go through secret back alleys, strange hallways and corridors that aren't seen to the normal human eye, and you kind of disappear into the fog and the dust and the dirt that's been kicked up in Charter Hall. And I will narrate the following: that Bethel picks the professor up, dusts him off, and says, "Come with me, Professor. We'll go to one of your other properties. I'll pour you a hot bath." The professor pulls the note out of his mouth, and what does it say?
It says
the effectiveness of it might also require an action. But go ahead, Aaron. You can say what it says, and then we can roll the action.
It says, "Eat your wicked heart."
Whoa!
Okay.
Figuratively.
What action are we going to use?
In parentheses.
Yeah.
Well, this will be a final action. It says, "Eat your wicked heart." This is our final moment where he sees this is the warning that he's being given, and we need to determine how much effect it has on him. Because you guys, the entire job, I mean, you destroyed a city block.
Yeah.
As set you up for this, I'm going to say that this action will have a great effect, right? But I'm going to say that it's controlled because you have done all of this to get to this moment. Does this change him? Does this scare him enough that he begins to behave differently and believe the old legends? What action are you using?
Can I assist this? I would figure I would brainstorm with them when they wrote the note.
I think that Golem didn't really write it. So
Elazar wrote it.
Elazar wrote it.
Elazar can be the main actor if you have that sheet
Let
available.
me bring up his character sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to give him another dice if I could.
Yeah.
Consort?
Yeah. In that case, I'm going to say that the note is actually kind of like a friendly note that ends with that. Sure. Friendly warning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a friendly warning.
Sure. The scariest kind.
Interested businessmen would like you to know the following. You know what I mean? And then
I think the "eat your wicked heart" part is like in some ancient Scovlan runes. He would need to translate that part.
And then you're going to take a stress. You helped with this warning as well, Uric. You helped. You know, you're used to staying up late maybe and helping people write their manifestos and things like that. So you took some stress to help with that. So that gives you an extra die on Elazar's consort roll, and you may roll it now. And this is truly the moment where we find out if your mission succeeded.
So I have 3 dice.
Here we go.
5.
Ooh.
Success with a complication. And I already know what the complication is.
Of course you do.
Here is how I will end tonight's scenario. Bina Jaffe, our friend, is once again sort of surveilling, posing as a professor, and surveilling Professor Ludwin a week later as he walks down the steps of Charhollow University, and a Scovlan beggar comes waddling up to him, and it's clearly a Scovlan beggar. He's wearing one of like the Scovlan kind of like ponchos that they sometimes wear, and he speaks a little bit in Scovlan, and he goes, "Coin, sir?" And the professor looks back and forth and hands him 1 coin, 2, 3, and then
tolerance through terror.
Yes,
we'll take it.
Bethel helps him up into his carriage, and he goes, "Thank you, Bethel." And he sits back in his carriage as it rattles off. But meanwhile, somewhere else, a bunch of blue coats are standing in a small room. The blue electroplasmic light that hangs between them throws strange shadows. And one of them says, "Professor tipped us off. We think there's some sort of Scovlan anarchist group operating out of Charhollow or Charterhall. They've got big weapons, big guns, and they're a threat to the Akarosi way of life. But, as we all know, based on the professor's formulas and the things that he outlined for us in the first, Scovlanders will always be second, and we will be the first. The first!
Yikes. Oh no, it's QAnon.
Oh no. We made the Proud Boys.
Shit.
Oh, great.
Fuck.
I'd like a flashback scene where the golem tears the professor's head off.
Yeah, can we do that as a flashback just for us?
Literally,
can we do an Inglourious Bastards on this?
Literally, when you first started telling us about the score, I was like, maybe we could discredit his work.
That would have been one way to go. I mean,
over years.
One thing
I love Golem, that would have been great.
One thing I really do love about Blades in the Dark is it kind of forces the thing to be open-ended, right? Because it doesn't let you kind of decide how it will end ahead of time, and it's a really
good
game to run because I'm always surprised.
It truly, because it like 2 or 3 times I was like, I know I can do this to save this thing, and then it changed.
It is ideally suited for campaign play, so I'm so glad we're going to get more of these episodes. And the reason I think it's ideally suited to that is because you guys didn't really get hurt like you would have in, say, a more traditional role-playing game where you take hit point damage, but you've taken a lot of stress. Now you're going to have to try to clear that with your vices. You're not going to clear all of it. It's going to be time for the next job. And it's that sort of balance of trying to kind of keep in the game.
Sure. Right now it's kind of like stress is kind of free. But once it's like, 2 points, 1 point is following me over to the next one, that's going to be a real pain.
What happens to the golem? I don't think it goes back to Charhollow. Or I don't think it goes back to the bookshop.
Really? You think he walks off into the wilderness?
I mean, usually it's like it's tough to keep a golem down.
It's tough to keep a golem down. I don't know. Look, I think we should all talk about this before we do our next session. It will be a downtime session. The complication that I threw out there is that there is now frankly, a hate group that is your crew. But if you want to add your own complications, Aaron, I'm not going to stop you. If the golem
no, it's okay.
But you do control the golem and Elazar. So if you want the golem to come back and sit back down in the hideout where he was before and sort of wait for his next moment, you may do that. Or if you'd like to have him run off into the world, that's fine too.
Yeah, dude, Golem goes Hawaiian.
We'll come back to it.
What a great bunch of cliffhangers. What a great bunch of players. Better Than Heroes is 7 p.m. That's Mountain, right?
It is at 8
Pacific.
Yes, 8 p.m. Pacific.
8 p.m.
No, 7 p.m. Pacific.
7 p.m. Pacific?
8 p.m. Mountain Time, the most fantastic
That's right,
of all
7 p.m.
times.
Pacific.
I
don't even know what time our show is.
Mountain Time does just sound magical.
Yeah. Welcome to Mountain Time.
You're on
Big Rock County Mountain Time.
We don't really do anything around here because we're on Mountain Time.
That's right.
I like to dream. So check out Better Than Heroes. That's 8 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Pacific on Mondays. Follow these guys on their socials: Jordan Dahl, Aaron Urist, and Andrew Orvedahl. Tell them how much you enjoyed their incredible play tonight. You guys played so well. And, just tell them you love them. And I'm going to say goodbye to them for right now. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Jared.
That was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you,
You're the best.
That was so fun. Okay, I'm going to hang out for a minute. I'm going to do our end of show business. If people have comments or questions, shoot 1 or 2 through to me. I think I have a little bit of time. And I'm going to tell you this. Vampires of Pittsburgh returns tomorrow at its new time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Our friend Abu is in South Africa filming Raised by Wolves Season 2 for HBO Max. So we are making it a little earlier to accommodate him. We are diving back into the present day. Lucius has shared his grand designs with the coterie. Jen is drinking rat blood. Curtis is smashing the city's drug trade. And Clara has been seduced by a mysterious new kindred on the scene. Yes, seduced is a strong word. They've made friends. Tune in for all this and more at our new time. And on Tuesday, it's 1985 here on the Stream of Blood, because Tuesdays are now Thaco Tuesdays. We'll be playing a game of old school style fantasy tabletop. Wizards are made of tissue paper, elves and dwarves are classes, not races, and every door and chest are trapped. It's not D&D, it's your dad's D&D. Join us at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday for Thaco Tuesdays. This Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, Secret GM Clint and I are back on the Stereo app with more Campaign Promises. Stereo is a live broadcast social platform where you can not only listen in, but send us voice messages and questions to listen and interact. Click the link in the chat. And then at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, boy, we're giving you guys a lot of show. We've added stuff. You're welcome. At 6 p.m. Pacific time, it's the Neptune Society on Thursday with a new tale. This is going to be a mystery. This is going to be a lot more horror oriented, less, wondrous age of science, romance, adventure, and more horrific. This adventure is called The Toymaker of York. That will be Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific for the Neptune Society. Stream of Blood is also a podcast. Find it on the podcatcher of your choice. Subscribe, download, rate, and review it. It helps people find us. It helps the stream. It helps our YouTube presence. It helps everything. So please hook up that podcast, and you can listen to the episodes of Vampires of Pittsburgh that you have missed. Original music for Blades in the Dark is by Axel Kazes Taylor. Please like, subscribe, and listen to Axel's music some more. We are on social media. Spread the word about the Stream of Blood. Follow us on Twitch and subscribe for special emotes and other benefits. Subscribe and comment on YouTube. We're on Instagram and Twitter as Stream of Blood, and on Reddit as r/Stream of Blood. The best way to connect with us is The best way to connect with us and other SOBs is on our Discord, Stream of Blood, Server of Blood. And because we are also illegally, well, it's a Freudian slip. It's Blades in the Dark, so we're illegally required to be on Facebook, which should be illegal. Facebook should be illegal. Any comments or questions before I give the final credits? My final thank yous? I think we had a question about horses. Yeah, I didn't read in the Blades in the Dark book where horses don't exist in it, but in my world they do. In my world they do. Only, you know what? Only, it's almost like I'm making this stuff up. In my world, only the Akarosi nobility who have specifically had the resources to breed them and give them the food and care that they need. Only people like Professor Ludwin, who belong to the grand Akarosi families, have horses, and it is a sign of wealth and privilege. If there are any other inconsistencies, I advise you to send them to Clinton Trucks. Okay. Guys, I want to say special thanks to our producers and partners, Brian Baldinger and Clinton Trucks. Thank you, guys. Our social media manager, Megan Arch. Thank you, Megan. My YouTube content producer. We have more YouTube videos coming up in the GM Toolbox series. Thank you to Matt Moynihan, who helps us produce those. And a sincere thank you to Andrew Orvedahl, who created our opening sting animation, and Garrett Ross, who created our little logo right here. I love you guys. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.